but we have found this bitter sadness. It was so unexpected and so disturbing, and now we can't think of anything else.
At the port, recovery teams are filling trucks with the bodies they're still pulling from the sea, as the human cost of this ill-fated voyage is literally still being counted. Matthew Chance, CNN, Lampedusa.
Well, over now to news just in. The Office of the President hereby informs Gambians and friends of the Gambia that our decision to withdraw from the Commonwealth of Nations is final and not subject to negotiation. We wish to inform our allies that there is no point sending special envoys to Banjul for us to reconsider this decision. The decision to leave the Commonwealth was made based on the principle that we do not want to be part of any colonial or neo-colonial institution. Changing our decision is far-fetched because the Commonwealth remains at best a neo-colonial institution and at worst an animal farm, an idea which the Gambia will never subscribe to. In this vein, we urge all African countries planning to send special envoys on this matter not to waste their taxpayers' money. We further assure our allies that the decision to leave the Commonwealth is not against individual member states, and this will not affect our bilateral relations with them. We have reached a point of no return in our decision to leave the Commonwealth, and this is not non-negotiable. Egypt state media say at least 51 people were killed in Sunday's violence and more than 260 were injured. The Muslim Brotherhood says peaceful protesters were killed. CNN's Raza Saya was on the streets of Cairo and he tells us more.
The day began peacefully, but quickly devolved into dueling demonstrations, ending with violent beatings and deadly clashes that put into sharp focus a nation deeply divided. On one side, supporters of the military-backed interim government who despise the Muslim Brotherhood.
They are terrorists. They are proving this every day.
On the other side, Brotherhood supporters, beaten and battered, but determined to keep their movement alive.
I will fight for this.
About mid-morning, thousands of government supporters marched to iconic Tahrir Square to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Egypt's war against Israel and to praise Egypt's top general Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the man who toppled Egypt's democratically elected former president Mohamed Morsi and his Muslim Brotherhood-led government.
General Sisi is a wise person. He loves this country, and this country loves him.
When Brotherhood backers announced they too were coming to Tahrir Square, the stage was set for confrontation. All right, this is the first standoff of the day that we've seen, and it doesn't get much more dramatic than this. Behind me is Tahrir Square. This is a line police have set up, and a couple of blocks down is where you find supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood and the ousted president Mohamed Morsi, and they're inching up very slowly, staring down police who are staring them down right back. Okay, it looks like security forces have decided to move them out. A few seconds ago, we heard them fire tear gas, and off they went, racing towards the protesters, chasing them away. Brotherhood supporters never made it to Tahrir Square. Instead, they marched through surrounding neighborhoods, repeatedly clashing with police. The sound of automatic gunfire echoed through Cairo streets. Dozens of Brotherhood supporters were killed. Who was doing the shooting was unclear. On the Nile Corniche, just a few blocks from Tahrir Square, our cameras captured the cost of being caught by Egyptian police. Police often accused by human rights groups of using excessive force. It was a glimpse of a political conflict where the government and its supporters say they're not backing down.
We will not accept this, and we will not allow this.
And where Brotherhood supporters say they're ready to die for their cause.
Until my last breath.
Reza Saya, CNN, Cairo.
Over now to another press release. Following a review of recent developments in the domestic foreign exchange market, the Office of the President informs the general public that the pegging of the dollar exchange rate against the dalasi is hereby repealed. Trading in the foreign exchange market is to be determined by market forces as per the Gambia's commitment to a flexible exchange rate regime. The Office of the President urges players in the foreign exchange and other markets to play by the rules and advises traders to eschew with the practice of holding an undue speculation. While reiterating our commitment to free market policies, government will ensure that players in the market conform to the rules and regulations that govern free markets. Not much is known about the Al-Shabaab commander who was targeted in the raid in Somalia. Now, U.S. officials say he is a Kenyan of Somali origin. CNN's Nemo El-Bagir tells us more about the man fondly called Kramer and his alleged role in Al-Shabaab.
That he's one of the Al-Shabaab foreign fighters because, as you said, although he's of Somali origin, he grew up in Kenya. We believe that he might have come from the Kenyan coastal town of Mombasa, which is emerging increasingly as a real hotbed in the region of both Al-Qaeda cells and radicalization. But as far as the Americans were concerned, their main interest in him stems to his alleged involvement in the 1998 U.S. embassy bombings and his close relationship and affiliation with Saleh al-Nabhan, who was the alleged bomb maker in both those attacks and the 2002 attacks here in Kenya of an Israeli hotel. Now, Saleh Nabhan, interestingly enough, was the last man that the Americans went into Somalia to get. They were a little bit more successful on that mission. They killed him in 2009. And to kind of bring that circle around for you, these two men are linked to the Westgate shopping mall attack through one of the attackers who is a relative of Saleh Nabhan and is believed to be part of the same incredibly dangerous Al-Qaeda cell here in East Africa, Christy.
And speaking of that Westgate Mall attack, Kenya has named the 6 suspects behind it, including a woman. Who are they?
Well, one of them is, as we were just saying, Omar Nabhan. Another one, who's known as Khattab al-Kini, he is believed to be a Somali-American. We're still trying to get some more detail. An American, I should say, of Somali origin. We're still trying to get a bit more detail about him. Another gentleman, only one name was given. We don't really have much more of a sense beyond that. But the leader of the organization, they believe he is of Sudanese origin and is very high-ranking in Al-Qaeda in Africa. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this woman, this Somali woman. She actually, authorities believe, was the one manning the heavy machine gun. This is a stand-mounted machine gun. You often see them in war zones on the back of pickups. She was manning this on the ground. Authorities believe by the time that they had killed her, that she had killed 39 civilians. There are also 2 more men. We don't yet have any detail on whether they were actually part of the gunmen within Westgate, but they are believed to be part of the Westgate group. Kenyan authorities have released footage of them withdrawing cash from a cash machine because they say they actually bought the car that transported the attackers to Westgate, and authorities are seeking further information about them, Christy.
Now, the raid to take down Al-Shabaab's Ikrima, the raid that took place in Somalia over the weekend, it did not go down as planned. He is still at large. What has been the regional reaction from officials in Somalia and also there in Kenya?
Well, publicly, no one's really talking on record, but privately, to some of the sources we've been reaching out to here in Kenya, there's definitely a sense of retribution that, you know, the U.S. is a very close ally. Kenya's involvement in Somalia has been something that they've spoken a lot to the U.S. about in terms of neutralizing the Al-Shabaab threat, not just in the region, but broadly across the world. And so Kenyan authorities that we've been speaking to, they're hopeful that this is a blow that perhaps, although it didn't get its target, that will have given Al-Shabaab a sense that they are not safe. Baraway, where this attack took place, is actually right within Al-Shabaab's comfort zone. It's a port town in south-central Somalia. This is very much deep within Al-Shabaab territory in Somalia. So for the Al-Shabaab leadership to get that sense that, okay, this attack wasn't successful, but you are watched, they know where you are, and they are going to try to get to you. And maybe this time that didn't work out, but most of the people we've been speaking to in this region feel like this is a warning shot, and they feel that Al-Shabaab have definitely heard it, Christy.
That was CNN's Nemo El-Bagir there on the Al-Shabaab militant group. We'll be back. The news continues momentarily. Well, before we draw the curtain on this newscast, a reminder of our top stories once again. The government has rolled out a comprehensive reform plan designed to modernize the country's public finance management system. Disaster risk reduction experts from West Africa and beyond are meeting in Banjul to deliberate on disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Survivors of the latest boat tragedy that claimed close to 200+ lives of the